Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Friday edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Aaron Troy, here to open up this rather really beautiful Friday evening here across Tallahassee. Also homecoming right now across FSU. So if you're out there looking really nice outside with that sunshine out there, those temperatures right now are in the low 80s here. We're under partly cloudy skies with winds out of the west at 14 miles per hour. Feels like temperatures across the region right now are sitting in the middle 80s across Tallahassee and a little in the lower 80s to get down towards the southeast or so. Local radar is dry right now as we have that cold front that's going to come through and bring us more of that drier air over the weekend, or so it's going to feel really pleasant out the door tomorrow and for the rest of the weekend here. So tonight's headline: seasonably temperatures could return, but what does it mean, of course, for the FSU Duke game tomorrow at 7:30? How is fall coming along across the country, and what is up with Hurricane Tammy in the Caribbean that recently formed here over the last several days or so, and looking like it's going to track closer towards the Lesser Antilles. But all that more on FSU Weather.
Good evening, Tallahassee. This is student meteorologist Josh Millay.
And I'm back, student meteorologist Aaron Saray here.
So Aaron, are you excited for not only the FSU Duke game, but more fall temperatures?
I am, yes. And honestly, this past week or so with those cooler temperatures, it's just been, been really excited to go outside every single day and actually not sweating to class, right? How about you?
I know, I feel the same thing. Now, all my classes are in EOAS, but just going to some cafe, going across campus for whatever I need to do, I'm just excited not to have to worry about just being sweaty. It's just so nice.
That's right, and we'll see, at least in the forecast here, that drier air continuing on across much of the area. But Josh, do you want to show us exactly what's going on here across the region here?
Yeah, thank you so much. So as we talk about as we go currently, right now we're hanging around the mid to upper 80s. So we're mainly hanging around the hotspot being St. Mark's at 78. Tallahassee, we are currently at 83 degrees. So as you are seeing right now, we are seeing some winds, especially in Tallahassee at 14 and Bainbridge also at 14. They're both pretty strong. Strongest being along the coast at Perry at 17, Apalachicola at 60 miles per hour winds, and they're most likely coming from the west. As you're seeing with dew points, we are seeing that for the most part we're having drier dew points in Donaldsonville, but as we work our way going southeast, 71 in Monticello, we're seeing higher dew points there. So it's gonna feel more humid, just not as comfortable as we like it to be, considering that it's fall. But thankfully, as we go throughout the night, it'll be a lot nicer conditions, especially if you're going out for a walk, for wherever you want to just enjoy the nice weather. So we saw some showers go through Waycross, but for the most part, across Tallahassee, we're seeing some very nice conditions, very nice, especially throughout the homecoming parade today. Now, tomorrow we're going to see clear conditions, not a cloud in sight, until we get to game time in Tallahassee. We'll see some clouds come through, but it will not have an effect on Tallahassee whatsoever, nothing to worry about. If anything, it'll be nice because then you won't have to worry about the setting sun getting in your eyes. And going into Sunday, same thing. Clouds are just going to be going through, nothing to really worry about other than just make sure to bring that sunscreen, but even then, I'm worried about bringing too much because with the overcast we should be expecting. Friday night. Tonight is a perfect night to go outside. I say if you're going to Homecoming Live, expect to be there at 72 degrees, and then it'll get down to 64 as you go throughout the evening. If you're going clubbing, it'll definitely be a very nice night to do so. Tomorrow, if you're going hiking, I'm planning to be outside going dip-netting with the Environmental Service Program. I would recommend, and I'm going to do this myself, bring a jacket because at 9 a.m. it's probably going to be closer to 60 degrees, and by 11 it'll warm up to 72. But still, I say always bring a jacket and definitely bring your bug spray and your sunscreen. Also, when you get home, check for ticks because they are nasty up here in Tallahassee. Now, see this lovely husky name Storm? Very cute name, especially, and thank you, Chandler, for that picture. But anyhow, so as you see, we have, as I recommended, make sure to have some sunscreen. Also, make sure that I recommend going out around 8 a.m. to go for a dog walk forecast. And then finally, for the week ahead, so Saturday, game day, the day we're all excited for. Make sure it's going to be 80 degrees, very nice outside. Bring a jacket because after the game it will be a bit chilly. But as we go throughout the rest of the week, we're going to be mainly seeing lows continue to hit in the upper 50s, and then we're going to also see, we're going to be in the 80s for the most part, although as we get to Thursday to Friday, we'll see a big warm up from 82 to 85. So make sure it's not going to feel as fantastic as we would like, but regardless, it's going to be a lot better than what we've been experiencing since summer. Now, Elizabeth, what's happening across the rest of the Southeast?
Well, actually, before we go to the Southeast, we're going to look to Florida first. So across the rest of the state, we are seeing warmer conditions as well, but also pretty nice conditions right now. It is beautiful and sunny in Panama City and in Fort Myers and in Orlando right now. A few clouds in West Palm Beach, but again, nothing to be concerned about as far as that goes. So our current temperatures across the rest of the state, we're sitting in the lower 80s for the majority of the area, 82 in Pensacola, 82 in Tallahassee, 78 in Tampa right now, and 81 down in Key West. And it's actually sort of dry right now, so our dew points are in the low to mid 60s, and some places even in the 50s. So we have a dew point of 58 in Orlando, 64 in Tampa, 63 here in Tallahassee. That's just because we have all this drier air up in the upper levels of the atmosphere that's just moving throughout the state right here, which is like designated by these blacks and oranges here. And it is also dry as far as rain goes as well. Not too much to talk about on the radar right now. Just a few little pop-up showers possibly in the panhandle of the state, but again, nothing to talk about there as well. And again, for the next few days, we are going to stay dry. We'll see some clouds pass through this weekend as we see that newer cold front move through, but no rain is to be expected with that. So for the Saturday morning temperatures, lower 70s to upper 60s for most of the area. It'd actually be 59 here, 62 in Pensacola, 60 in Jacksonville, and 77 down in Key West. And by Saturday afternoon, we'll see those above average temperatures for the area again, 84 in Tampa, 86 in Fort Myers, 83 down in Key West. A cooler night again for Sunday into Sunday morning. A few more 50s here on the map. 57 in Tallahassee, 55 in Gainesville, and 57 in Jacksonville. But we will be getting back up into the 80s as we head into Sunday afternoon. Just mid to upper 80s there. So for the weekend forecast, nothing too exciting as far as the weather goes, except for these above average temperatures. So mid to upper 80s for our highs in West Palm Beach as well in Orlando. Nice and dry for the weekend. Again, in Fort Myers, we'll have a high of 88 tomorrow, and some cooler conditions as we head into Panama City, lower 80s for our highs. So now, Aaron, we're going to be talking more about the Southeast, right?
We are, yes, and kind of a similar weather pattern set up here across the Southeast here as we zoom out across the region here with that, look at that fall foliage going on there in Charlotte, North Carolina with those reds on the tree there. So that means they're approaching the peak of the fall foliage, and we'll actually talk more about that here in just a second here. But anyways, Birmingham, Alabama, pretty clear skies right now. Over towards Tampa as well, or I should say Monroe, Louisiana, excuse me, and Nashville, Tennessee, all looking really beautiful and nice outside with those fair weather clouds, if any, for Nashville, and then over towards Charlotte. So current temperatures across the region, we are sitting more cooler the further east you go. In other words, the less chance the atmosphere or the air mass has had to moderate, as we like to say in the weather world. So 59 in Charlotte, 67 in Charleston, 82 Tallahassee, and then as you make your way off towards the west, ooh, look at that, double eights there for Shreveport, and then at 88, and then Little Rock at 84 degrees at this current hour. However, we are sitting dry across those areas where the higher temperatures are at, which means that the temperature actually feels like 88 degrees rather than like 100 degrees like we would see in the summertime. So even though, yes, it's warm, it's a comfortable warmth. That kind of makes sense. However, as you go over towards the east or so, towards the Carolinas, the Mid-Atlantic, that's where you have those that more humidity, the air that you can wear, so to speak, especially along the coastline. We are dry on radar here. It's not until you get over towards the mid-Atlantic region where you have the chance for seeing a shower or two go past, at least as you're heading back home, perhaps on the rush hour traffic back. And as you go across the region, other parts of the region, we are sitting high and dry. So in the future radar here, we have dry conditions continuing, perhaps with a stream of clouds coming through as you go on throughout the next several days or so through Sunday. So overall, your weekend looks really nice anywhere across the southeast. Rainfall forecast only shows that rain potential over near the Carolinas, but that's only going to be for tonight over the next several hours or so. Future temps are going to bottom out into the 50s to near 40s here, especially the further north you go. And then tomorrow we rebound into the lower 80s across much of the region. Look at that, actually 91 in Shreveport. That's actually a lot warmer than average for this time of year or so. And then future temperatures after that, they again sink down into the middle 60s, especially off towards the west. And then over towards the east or so is where we have the temperatures staying in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. Sunday, very close up to a repeat of tomorrow with the temperatures rebounding into the middle to upper 80s. And if you're heading out the door to Charlotte, North Carolina, we have sunshine across the weekend after that rainfall tonight, though. So just get through that, and then we'll have that sunshine coming out throughout the rest of the weekend. Nashville, Tennessee, very similar story with those low rain chances, sun up in the sky. Actually, may even be a little cool on Sunday with that temperature of 69 degrees as a high. If you're over in Monroe, Louisiana, you actually might be a bit warmer, though, 92 degrees. However, it'll actually feel somewhat dry.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for that lovely southeast forecast. But now let's zoom it back out to the national forecast. So as you're seeing across the country, we're seeing some warmer temperatures definitely in the southeast, and that same pattern is going to go across most of the country, except for in the Midwest, especially here in Pittsburgh and Detroit, as a result of a low that's situated over here over Lake Erie. Now, as you see, we have that low and also a small occluded front over Pennsylvania, western New York, and then we also have a cold front extending down into the Gulf. Now, thankfully, we saw an alert that expired in Charlotte just for a thunderstorm. That has since expired, but we do still have some heavy rain going through North Carolina. So as you go into upper level winds, what these tell us is essentially, this would be around 250 millibars. Essentially, areas of the reds are going to show jet streaks. And if you divide it into 4 quadrants, the upper left quadrant will signify where there's a good chance of severe weather or where there will be likely upper level divergence, aka lower level convergence, where there will be a low. So as you see, that changes and that goes more towards, that jet streak shifts more towards Boston, signifying that there will be more severe weather, which will correlate with a low. Now, future radar is showing that, as we said, that rain is going to be that heavy rain is going to go into Boston and into New England before going into eastern Canada. So we'll mainly be seeing that going through Sunday into the rest of the weekend. And then for rainfall, we're seeing most of it, as I said, is going to be strongest in Boston. It's going to mainly be the heaviest over there. We also see some areas in western Mexico where there'll also be some strong amounts of rainfall. And as Aaron mentioned earlier, Charlotte's going to get a decent amount of rainfall, but it's only going to be through tonight. After that, then tomorrow and the weekend is just going to look absolutely beautiful in Charlotte. Now in some areas, we actually do need the rain, especially going through Louisiana, going through central Texas, and many other areas. We do need some rain because practically we're dehydrated. The crops are dehydrated. We're in a drought. It needs to happen. Although we might need hopefully we can get some more rain coming through. Now, future temperatures are showing that it's going to get colder, and we're going to get into the low 40s through the night, especially up north in 43 in Bismarck. But we're going to get down to the 70s, 75 in Phoenix, 71 in Miami. So those are definitely some interesting lows. But tomorrow afternoon, we're going to mainly get into the 90s, especially in Dallas. Okay, that is not. I'm sorry, that is not fall weather to me. But anyhow, but going across the northeast, we're going to see some showers in Boston, 58 degrees up there. But we're going to mainly be hanging around the upper 50s going into the northern part of the continental U.S. Now, we're also seeing Sunday, same cooling pattern that we saw for tonight, and same warming pattern is going to also continue as well, but it's not going to be as hot in Dallas or in Texas in general, thank goodness. So shout out to Tevin Wooten for coming all the way from Boston to Tallahassee to see us for the Duke game and just for FSU weather because we're awesome. But Saturday in Boston, unfortunately, is going to get the showers. He actually avoided that, thank goodness. But we're going to clear out by Monday. Chicago, it's going to be a lot nicer, although we will still see some rain, but not as high of a chance of rain. Plus, we're going to be having some higher temperatures. Houston is not going to have to worry about rain whatsoever, and although we will worry about that going into Monday, however, we still have the high of 92, which is surprising. And then finally Denver is going to be we're going to be in the 70s throughout the weekend going into Monday, and we're going to be going into the upper 40s. Now, Elizabeth, let's bring it back home to Tallahassee. What's going on this weekend?
So this weekend is going to be very nice outside if you're enjoying any of the homecoming events that FSU has to offer. As we head on to the next, there it is. Oh, and San Francisco. So we have our highs in the upper 60s and low 70s as we head into this weekend. So no major delays to discuss at the major airports. All places look nice for that, as well as Tallahassee Airport. So right now it is 82 there with some clouds in the sky. We'll hit an overnight low of 67 degrees and 60 in the morning. So very nice day to travel if you are traveling by plane. If you are traveling by car, also a very nice day to have your windows down. No rain to be expected whatsoever as you're heading on your drive to the game or wherever you may be going. So also a very nice beach day if the football game isn't really your scene. We'll have our temperatures in the 70s for there. But if you are heading to the game tomorrow at 7:30, we'll be taking on Duke for the homecoming game. By kickoff, it'll be 73 degrees. We will drop to 66 by 9 and 62 by 11. So depending on your definition of cold, it might be nice to bring a light jacket or something just in case you do get some chills in the air. So we'll see a partly cloudy sky tonight. So that is gonna bring us some fair conditions for stargazing. We'll have our sunset at 7:01, so just about 40 minutes from now or so. Sunday morning is going to also look nice. No rain to talk about in the morning. So we'll see 57 at 7, 62 at 9, and 75 at 11. And for the afternoon, again, another nice afternoon for your Sunday picnic. So by 1 p.m., we'll see 76 going all the way up to about 80 by 5 o'clock there. Again, no rain to discuss. And we also are playing Duke in soccer at Duke at 1 p.m. on Sunday. So by kickoff, it'll be 66. Not really much temperature variation as you head throughout the day there. So not too cold if you're heading there or going to the game. So for this weekend, we'll see pretty above average conditions for Sunday, and we'll see that cold front move through, and we'll dry off and cool down slightly as we head into Monday. So now we're going to be talking a little bit about fall and some of that stuff that's coming up.
That's right. We are going to be talking about fall here. And of course, here in Florida, we don't get very much in the way of like fall changes in color, right? But
no, but we do get some here in Tallahassee. And I know that we're from Tampa, so we don't really see that much. So that was very nice to come up here and actually see some leaves change color.
That's right. Especially in the next couple of, actually week to about a month or so, we actually could have the potential of seeing that fall foliage here. As you see, most of it is off to the north right now, especially across places like Atlanta, over to Huntsville, at least in the southeast or so, and then maybe even a little bit further south as you make your way into the Mississippi area. But for the most part, we are not seeing that fall foliage quite yet until next week. Yeah,
so for the 7-day forecast, we'll see some of that move south just a little bit, not so much hitting Florida at all, but we'll see some more of those leaves start to change color in the next week or so.
That's right. You gotta make sure you get your eyes peeled for that because you definitely do not want to miss that. It's assuming that you have a big tree in the back you want to see change color because I'm always looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right, but of course, exactly why do leaves change color? That's the big mystery here, right? So with cooler weather, the tree's chlorophyll, if you've ever heard of that name before, it's in the cell, the plant cell of leaves, leaving other chemicals that cause color changes.
Yeah. So then here's are the colors, and here are some of the things that make them those colors. So I'm not sure much about leaves or things like that, but if you're a plant enthusiast, that might entice you a little bit.
Right, a lot of fancy chemistry there, but just enjoy the beautifulness of the leaves there. But bright colors are more likely when late summer is dry and autumn has these sunny days and cool nights. This is kind of the more least likely chance of seeing those brighter colors.
Yeah, which is why we'll start to see that move south a little bit because it has been so dry and we've been a little bit cooler over the past couple weeks.
That's right, and a few leaf trivia facts or so. So we can see, of course, a lot of I can't really read it from here, but that's a big number there. For a lot of leaves on trees, of course, over 200,000 leaves possible, especially on the bigger the tree, the bigger the fun time it is to see all those leaves change color.
Yes, exactly. And one important thing to note is that wet leaves are as hazardous as driving on ice. So in this nice little graphic that our team leader Chandler put together, we'll see that you are much more slippery on wet leaves, even than on the wet road.
That's right. And again, if you're traveling at 40 miles per hour or so, it can take you up to 250 feet or so to actually slow down to a halt when we have leaves like that, because of course, you want to make sure you stay safe out there on the roads.
Of course, and so that is important to note. And then now we have some cool things to talk about in the tropics because hurricane season's not over.
That's right. So we'll actually switch gears here and talk about the tropics here across the Caribbean, and we're not done yet with hurricane season, even though we're past the climatological peak of hurricane season. Right now, with the current name being Tammy, we can cross that off the list here. We have Vince and Whitney left on the 2023 hurricane season names, and if we do make it through them, then we'd actually be in a supplemental list, not the Greek alphabet that we've seen a couple years ago, but that has since changed to that point, but we'll have to see over the next several weeks or so. So as I was mentioning before, we are past the peak of the climatological peak of hurricane season, which occurs normally in early September or so. However, at least in our case, we are well past that, and we're starting to go on that sharp downward trend of when we tend to see those tropical cyclones here out in the Atlantic. There's especially this year, there's just too much shear, and now the waters are starting to cool down now, especially where you want those storms to form. However, we do have Tammy here in the Atlantic here, actually just off to the south and east of Florida here out in the Caribbean. It has currently posed no threat to the U.S., thankfully, as we have that trough that's going to dig off towards the East Coast. It's eventually going to take this and pick it up off and put it out towards the Atlantic or so, away from the East Coast of the U.S. or so. So that's the good news here, of course, as we get away from that. We want to talk more about, of course, about fall foliage in the future, not about hurricanes, right, in Florida. So Tammy, currently located 14.3 north, 59.2 west, moving off to the west-northwest at 7 miles per hour, pressure down to 991 millibars, and winds up to 75 miles per hour. So just now got designated as a Hurricane Tammy now. So future forecast cone from the NHC does show the storm moving off generally to the northwest or so, just skirting the Leeward Islands and then eventually curving out back out towards the middle of the Atlantic as we have that East Coast trough eventually picking it up and moving on out of here and kind of acting as a wall, as a barrier to prevent that from coming further off towards the west. So now the models, for the most part, or the spaghetti plots, I should say, are taking it off towards the northwest and then eventually off to that northeast, pretty much agreeing with what the NHC is saying, and they're also in agreement with this as well. Most of them stay just off towards and just kiss off the Leeward Islands here. You might perhaps see a little bit of an influence of some moisture as you get over towards Puerto Rico, but for the most part staying offshore. Could see perhaps a tropical storm force gust, maybe sustained at the very outer islands here, but for the most part should remain not a terrible concern as we make our way over the next few days or so. And then your expected swells, we might see perhaps some higher swells on the windward-facing islands here, but for the most part should stay about 10 to 20 feet, especially offshore. So the expected rainfall across Leeward Islands should stay, for the most part, about an inch, maybe 2.5 inches or so for the worst extent, especially as you go towards at least some of the more isolated areas where you could perhaps see those higher rain chances. But again, you always want to make sure you're very prepared, as this is a relatively mountainous area and you could see some potential flash flooding. So Josh, what else are we going to be talking about across this weekend?
All right, so this weekend, just to bring it back around on home. So basically, as we talked about with currently what we're expecting, we're at 83 degrees in Tallahassee, mainly staying in the low 80s, upper 70s along the coast. Although, as you see with our winds, we're still having strong winds in Tallahassee and Bainbridge, both coming from the west. We do have Perry having some stronger winds, and Apalachicola also coming from the west or southwest. So, everywhere else, though, is staying relatively calm wind-wise. So Donaldsonville, seeing the lowest dew points across the entire region, and we get only warm. We have a general trend of getting higher dew points as you go southeast. So as you get towards Monticello and going into Perry, expect some not so nice conditions right now. But if you wait later and go for that walk, then it'll be a lot nicer. Currently, we saw some showers go through Waycross and Central Georgia, but as here in Tallahassee, not a shower or drop in sight. So as you go into the future, we're seeing that throughout the evening tonight, we're not going to have to really worry about anything. So you could go stargazing. You may have to worry about some clouds. Tomorrow night, especially for the game, some clouds will be in the area. But as I say, with clouds, nothing to be super concerned about. And then as you go into Sunday, we're going to still see some more cloud coverage go through the afternoon. And by Sunday night, we'll be practically expecting overcast. So tonight, if you're going to Homecoming Live at the Tucker Center, then you're going to be wanting to bring a light jacket, nothing super heavy, just a nice light fleece zip-up, just so that way when you get out of there, you won't have to worry too much, because we'll get down to 57 tonight with a slight wind, so it'll just feel a little bit colder due to the wind chill factor. And then if you're going out the door, now I'm going out dipping with Environmental Service Program, although if you're going out for just a nice morning breakfast or getting ready for your homecoming festivities, you're going to want to bring that jacket if you're leaving at 8 a.m. If you're still tired, like many people will be, if you're getting out at 12, it'll be a lot nicer. So it'll be 75 degrees by then, so you won't have to worry about that. And then Saturday night for the game. Again, like tonight, bring a jacket. You won't have to worry so much about the wind, as there won't be any whatsoever. Sunday for the patio. Now, I know it says dynamics, but I'm studying for thermo and for ins and outs because I have 2 tests coming up both next week. So wish me luck. But anyhow, so tomorrow you're going to want to study at around 8 a.m. if you're most productive then. And then by the time you get to 3 p.m., it's going to be 84 degrees. So you won't have to worry so much. But as we get into the week ahead, it'll basically be, as I said earlier, 8 degrees across the week. And we'll be mainly hanging around with lows in the upper 50s. Now, as we bring it back, Elizabeth, what are you planning to do this weekend?
So this weekend I have work tomorrow, but I'm also going to be studying for the ins and outs exam. So I'm not going to really be participating in much of the homecoming festivities, unfortunately. How about you?
I mean, I have a couple things going on. I definitely am going to study, but I do have a couple plans, especially with going dipping. I'm excited for that, but I'm more excited to just get the tests over with. Oh,
exactly. Midterm season is almost over. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Don't worry.
Be good.
I know some people are having midterms next week. I'm one of them. We'll get through this together.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I will say, tonight was a really good show because we got to learn more about the leaves changing, and also I'm just excited to welcome in the fall weather because we need this, and also it just adds to the beauty of the landscape, especially with every season's beauty.
Oh, for sure. It was so nice, at the beginning of this week when I got to wear a long sleeve to school, and then it was 80 something today. So It wasn't very nice, but I'm excited for the cold weather to slowly come in.
Yeah, so follow us at Twitter at twitter.com/FSU Weather.
And then we're also on Facebook, same thing at FSU Weather.
Like us watch us live on YouTube at youtube.com/FSU Weather.
Yep, and we are also on Instagram at FSU Weather as well. So send us your cool weather photos. And so last but not least, we'll kind of just show an overview of what we have discussed today. So tonight we'll see mainly cooler temperatures, 60s and 50s and 40s all over this map here, and a warmer day tomorrow, most places in this red shaded area. Again, cooler night on Sunday as well here in the nation. And again, mainly our highest temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s there. So for the week ahead here in Tallahassee, not much variation going on. We'll see our high temperatures stay in the low to mid 80s here, and our lows in the upper 50s and low 60s. No rain to be discussed. It's just these above average conditions as we wait for the official start of fall here in Florida. So thanks for tuning in to your Friday edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Elizabeth Temple. Have a great night.